So a very big and a warm welcome to all of you for this by public demand session, I would say, because it's part 2 of the previous session. So we have Geshe with us again. He was here with us last year as well. And I've got a lot of comments from all the people who attended that please call him for the advanced session of the same this. So that's how by public demand, according to his free time, he's been invited here to Goa University again. So we are very glad to have him here. For those who don't know about Geshe, I'll just tell you a little bit about him. So in 1988, Geshe Dorji Damdul, he joined the Institute of Buddhist Dialects in Dharamshala and went on to gain his Geshe Lampra degree in 2002 from Drempung Loseling Monastery University. And then he joined the Nyunmed Tantric College for Tantric Studies. In 2003, he was recommended by the office of His Holiness the Dalai Lama Geshe, and he studied English language at Cambridge University in England, UK. He was appointed as the translator to His Holiness the Dalai Lama since 2005, and he also translates texts like Arya Nagarjuna's The Fundamental Wisdom of the Middle Way, Acharya Shantideva's Bodhi Karyavarta, that is Wisdom chapter. Geshe is also co-authored scientific, philosophical, Buddhist and secular books with prominent professors in the UK and the US, as well as with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Since 2011, Geshe has served as the director of the Tibet House, Cultural Center, New Delhi, where he gives weekly teachings in Buddhist philosophy, psychology, logic, and practice. He has also lectured at Delhi University and presented papers for national and international conferences held in Delhi and Mumbai, and is presently writing 2 books, Journey into the Paradox of the Brain and Mind, and What Constitutes the Ultimate Reality, The Effects of Understanding the Ultimate Reality. Geshe's passion is to help students gain deep understanding of the Nalanda tradition of Buddhist philosophy and imbue that knowledge with the heart of Bodhicitta so that the practitioners can transform their own continuum into the path of enlightenment. Geshe's knowledge of science and interactions with the world-renowned physicist give him the unique ability to teach Buddhist philosophy with a modern twist that many of his non-Tibetian students appreciate. So today we have the part 2 of the map of the mind, the philosophy of the ultimate reality and cognitive transformation for mental well-being. So a big welcome to Geshe to be with us again, and a big welcome to all of you. I hope you all enjoy the sessions. So they'll be up to this Friday, all the sessions, and you'll also get a certificate of attendance. I also would like to acknowledge Dr. Anita Dudhane, who's always been helpful to coordinate the lecture series of the Dalai Lama with us, always. And she's a great asset to Goa University, and I hope this goes on in future also, because I'm also in the verge of retiring very soon, in few months. So I hope this goes on in Goa University. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks. As a gesture of love from Goa University, I would like to hand over a basket of fruits to Geshe for the next week in his hotel. And Dr. Anita.
Thank you so much, Dr. Savitaji. Thank you so much. And can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Okay. And also Dr. Anitaji for all those many years of your collaborating with Dr. Savitaji in organizing this lecture, all these several years. And what we are doing is continuation from where we left last time, and it's been only a few months. January, like three or, huh? Okay, which is about like almost 4 months. Okay, and so basically, what we see is that from what I'm covering, you may see there are some points which are extremely important, and which are required as more like a cognitive understanding of the workings of the mind. Then related to that, I also like to hand over the Parish, would you mind? So that there's some copies here, and some booklets there. In fact, what happened was that when the request came once more, okay, so the book, I will ask Parish to distribute in a while. Okay. And this year's meaning today's request came, request for today's teaching came, and the topic more the same, and I was just contemplating as to how to make it more meaningful, related to the one academic plus something more practical, relevant to our day-to-day life. And because they're from the last year's, what is that? In January, the last, the visit here, I see that there are many people have their own personal problems, personal grievances, problems, challenges, mental issues, and so forth. So I thought that this would be good to incorporate a short text composed by a brilliant master, the academically extremely rich, plus a lifelong practitioner of the mental transformation. And the text, as you can see here, which Parish will distribute. So the copy is your copy. Keep it to yourself. It's your own copy. But what I would suggest is that yes, I have more copies in the guest house, but I would suggest is that all of you who are present here, you get a copy, and if you come for the next session, we request you to bring it back. Bring it back meaning bring it for the class rather than getting the second copy. So because that, I'm just wondering, in case if there are newcomers for the class, they should also get, have a copy. That would be good. Okay. So the booklets will be distributed to you, and it's your copy. And I asked the Tibetan secretary to see if we can make a small booklet, particularly for this. Materials are ready, but the only thing is that the book. And the secretary, he is more mentally more active, so he said that we already have this booklet. And I said, oh, that's perfect then, because that is last minute. We can't expect to come out with the book as good as what you are getting now. So this has the 3 parts. The first part is more like the citations from various sources, like Buddha's own teachings and so forth. And second, there's one section on what is known as the 37 practices of the Bodhisattvas. 37 practices of the Bodhisattvas. So that one is the one which I'm going to relate to for practical purposes. And the, of course, it's going to be academic. What I would suggest is that bear with me in ways to, if possible, try to at least in your mind frame what are the classifications done of the mental functions, and then try to get some idea so that we can have a smooth flow of the class. Okay. So with this in mind, in this world, it's all about the mental well-being, which is being constantly, particularly in today's age. Mental well-being is a serious matter which is being discussed in the UNO and what is known as the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, and so the WHO. What do they mean by, for them, what is well-being? So these are all the things that we need to keep in mind. Oftentimes, when I was in school myself, and later meeting with the university students, and even the professors, what I noticed is that what they study and what is their real life, these are they're isolated, very different. And of course, somebody who can really gel the two, what you study and what you relate with your real life in your own family and in your own country and in the world. So that is, of course, the people who can really make these the connections, links. Yes, they are being recognized very differently, but the thing is that we need to learn how to bring them together. So if you can see the bigger picture of how the UNO looks at things and how the nation looks at things and how internationally the great minds think of the world, that would be very helpful for us to see that whatever we're learning is not just for dry intellectual inquiry, but also for one's own well-being, for the well-being of the world. So I don't want to go too much into the details of these. For example, what kind of mental disorders. This is a severe problem nowadays for the youngsters, elders, the mental disorders, mental problems, and kind of the problems that we discuss: anxiety disorders, depression, behavioral and emotional disorders in children, and so on. In fact, when I was a little boy, yes, we do come across things of the small children having mental disorders, and then as I grow older, perhaps it's because that I'm seeing the world on a larger scale. So there I see that so many children are suffering from mental disorders. So why is this happening? And so all these are listed there. And then the next question is about whether or not there's a cure to these problems. This is a serious discussion. And for me, since that I'm more trained, since I was 19 years old, I was more trained into the Buddhist psychology and philosophy and so forth, and I see this is so obvious. But then according to the Western medicine, we see that every problem is given one label, and then people get stuck with these labels. I have the OCD problem. For the first time I heard that was when I was, after completing my Geshe degree, which is about when I was 34, 35. I heard there's OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And what is this? And that was the year I taught the students from Emory University, USA. And there was the director of the program. They informed me in advance that there's one boy who has OCD problem. And later I met him. He's just a perfect very kind person, extremely intelligent, and then he plays, what is that, badminton on the global level. And he also openly said that I have an OCD problem. And I asked him, what is OCD problem? Then he said, he described it. Then I didn't tell him directly, but oftentimes it is my own life experience with a schoolboy, when I was a schoolboy myself, with him that I got to feel that finally the purpose is not to give a label. Sometimes you give a label and it helps to cure the problem. Sometimes we give the label and it traps you in the problem. So we have to be extremely smart. Finally, it's not about the label or no label. The thing is that the person should be freed from the problem. So if by giving the label, if the problems increase, no point. Why should we have to give the label? If not by giving the label, if the problem, say, perpetuates or it invigorates, then give the label. So we should not forget the purpose. So with this in mind, the question whether or not these problems have cure. So nowadays, of course, we should be extremely careful. Why I'm saying this is that sometimes we give some hope there, and a person, what's going on in the person's own life is very different, and then it may not get cured, and then person can sue you. Right? This is a big problem. So therefore, so particularly when people come to me, and then I look at how the person's attitude first. If the person is really wanting to seek your help, or say it is like a business transaction, that you promise it, you do it, if you cannot do it, you'll be in problem. If I see this attitude, then I say that better go somewhere else. Whereas if somebody is very genuine, then from your side where there's a severe mental disorder, where the person does not have any sense of sanity, then I'll tell them, go to psychiatrist. First, seek help with psychiatrist, and then when the problem subsides to some extent, then the antidepressants that you're taking, how to take it down, you have to do it only in consultation with the psychiatrist. We cannot do that. You cannot do that. And there's cases where some people, they feel themselves perfectly well after seeking the psychiatrist for like a few years, perfectly well, and they stop the medication on their own and suddenly relapse. Okay, these things happen, we should be very careful. So now this is more like theory. In theory, I say these emotional disorders, is there a cure? This is the point that we need to keep in mind. And I say emotional disorder doesn't necessarily mean something which is labeled as a problem by the prominent medical systems. But if you have a problem, including stress, depression, anxiety, and so forth, do you have a problem? If you have these problems, then as they cure this question. So we look at this broadly from what the Buddha has to say and what Charles Darwin has to say. For Buddha, the mental issues, mental problems, yes, of course, there's a cure. There's a cure. And for Charles Darwin, okay, with the very specific issues, that's a different story. Otherwise, generally speaking, for Charles Darwin, and I personally have a deep admiration, respect to Charles Darwin for his being a genius. Just one person who thought about all this evolution. This is amazing. And particularly, we are so honored that Dr. Savadaji, we invited her to Tibet House to give a talk on her experience in Arctic Circle. I don't think many of you have heard that. You have not heard it, raise hands? Dr. Savadaji's experience of Arctic Circle, adventure to Arctic Circle, you have not heard it. Being in Goa, you have not heard it. And in Delhi, we heard it already. Yeah. Okay, it's a beautiful talk. And I don't know how yes, of course, it's very relevant. Why don't you give a talk on this? That'd be wonderful. It's an amazing experience. So, the Charles Darwin, for Charles Darwin, for him, the basic emotions like attachment, anger, fear, and so forth, for him there's no cure. Why there's no cure? Because they do not require cure. They are required for our, the survival. It was 2008 when, as Dr. Sabadiji, in her introduction, my introduction, I was in America working with Professor Paul Ekman, a well-renowned psychologist, and he is actually respected for being the pioneer of the microfacial expression reading. Microfacial expression reading, which means that he just observes your face, and on that basis he can tell you what's going on in your mind. And then I was with him for 5 days to work on His Holiness's book. It's more like collaboration between His Holiness, joint book, His Holiness and Professor Paul Ekman, and the Office of His Holiness sent me to make sure that His Holiness' voice is properly reflected in the book. And Professor Paul Ekman, he was extremely kind. For 5 days, he entertained me so well. Very, very senior. Now he must be almost 90. And then the one evening, he invited all his psychologist colleagues and to meet me. We met, and then he asked me to introduce myself, what I'm doing. So we talked about a little bit about the Buddhist psychology and how to deal with the emotions, how we can get rid of these corrosive emotions like attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, and so forth. And one lady psychologist raised her hand and said that she must be around my age. Then I was in my 30s, she must be also in 30s, I think so. Then she said that you talked about how to get rid of these emotions, attachment, anger, fear, and so forth. But you cannot get rid of these emotions. These are, number one, these are instincts which we inherited from, like, say, speaking about the Homo sapiens, 0.3 million years ago, and speaking about our ancestors, like few million years ago, like 200, 300 million years ago, and then still we go back, finally, 4 billion years ago, the first unicellular organism. From there, these emotions developed, and how can you get rid of these? These are instincts. You cannot do anything with this, number one. Number two, that we require them. These are the evolutionary gifts for us. We require them. For example, attachment. For example, I'm hungry, then I have the attachment to food, then I'll look for the food. Then I eat, I survive. If I don't have this attachment to food, then even if I'm hungry, I'll not look for food and I'll die. So your species will discontinue. And anger, to get rid of the threats. And the fear, to run away from, run away from, again, the threats. So these are required. And so therefore we cannot get rid of this. This is a very serious discussion. In this connection, for example, each one of us, we have our own habitual mental emotions. Some of us are more short-tempered, right? Anyone? Temper issue? Right? Okay. We have a temper issue, or we have, like, say, the sort of obsessive compulsive disorder, right? You go to shopping malls, right? And then we see something that pulls our mind, right? So we see that these are all our weaknesses. Whether you call them our weaknesses or our basic emotions, these are there. And we know that these are creating problems on us. This is a reality. So the point is that whether or not these can be removed so that you become a happier person, a more meaningful person. This is the point. So with this, for the Buddha, answer is very simple. Yes, there's a cure to these problems. And when I say yes, there's a cure to this problem, don't Buddha's a saint, what he said must be true. Let us not take it like this. So instead, we take it more as an academic, as the information from the Buddha. What the Buddha has to offer. Say, yes, we can manage emotions. How? So we should be feeling free to ask these questions. How? And then with this, the whole psychology comes out. Buddhist psychology comes out. Oh, it's not mine. Okay, so with this, the next question is, what is the mind? What is the mind? This is a serious question. What is the mind? And last time we did a little bit about what the mind is. And what I would suggest is that all of us not to come up with our, say, presuppositions. You getting it? Presuppositions, meaning that, oh, I learned like this, I have heard like this. And so just see that finally the thing is that our problems, see if our problems can be minimized. Our problems can be, for example, like this, your anger issue, or say our problem of the what is it? Shopaholism? Shopaholics? What's the noun form? No, there's a person. There's a person. Shopaholism? Okay, yeah. So the issue of shopaholism, right? So these are all big issues. And I'm sure that many of the people, they know when they feel this, there is some, what you call as the happy hormones being released within your body, and you just feel like going after this. After buying this, you see that it's no use. And then you regret. And worst cases, hoarding starts at home. So many things stacked up, and then it's an issue for you, for some people. So therefore, the point is that whether these can be addressed. So we have to see if there's some relevance to this reality, that my habitual tendencies, which are not really good for me, whether these can be removed, number one. Number two, that the best would be, okay, I will give you some options and then you tell me what is best for you. Let's say one is to, let's say that we run away from these situations, which, for example, if they are the good shopping malls, then our imprint of the being a shopaholic, it gets activated. So we run away from these objects, stimulus, number one. Number two, we indulge in this, and then you face the consequence, loss of money, and then say the unnecessary hoarding of so many things there which you don't like. You like space, you don't have space. And number two. Or number three, whatever the situation is, whether you have it, you are very happy. When you don't have it, still you are very happy, right? Say with the people, you're with some people, you're very happy. Without these people, you are very happy, right? Whatever situation, I'm very happy. Of the three situations, tell me, which do you prefer? So what is the anger issue? Anger issue is, you agree with me, anger issue is that in your mind you expect something and that expectation is not met. And then the stress hormone is intense, right? When what you intended is not happening, stress hormone is released intensely. That makes you what we ordinary people call it as anger, right? How many you think like this? It's not that it may not be your mistake. It can be mistake on the other side. But for some people with the same situation, the mind is so calm. There's no agitation. Some people, there's tremendous agitation. Why? Because of the, say, in scientific terms, we call it, in loose sense, we say that it's because that stress, tremendous stress hormone is released. Whereas in the first person, in the case of the first person, there is such a, the release of the stress hormone is not happening. So the person is more calm and peaceful. How many of you agree with me to some extent? Raise hands? Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Usually when we look at anger, we can only identify anger as something which is seen in some way. It's a behavioral
Yes, yes. Yeah.
but there are some people who might not show this anger, and the stress might get more aggravated inside. People keep it bottled up. People who express it very naturally.
Your name?
My name is Dayanand.
Danand.
Dayanand.
Dayanand. Professor Dayanand. Okay. Let's say that, did you hear what Professor said? In fact, I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama once, His Holiness extremely realistic, extremely sharp. So, Professor Dan, if you hear what His Holiness said, you'll be amazed, right? His Holiness understood you so precisely. He's not here. So what he said was, once that there was one aristocratic gentleman, aristocrat. When he becomes angry, right, his face starts to smile, and then he will start patting his knee like this. I see, I see, smiling. You're getting it? So people who knows him so well, these people run away from him. People who don't know him, right, just, I see, he's smiling, patting his head, they come closer, and they are going to be fired by him. You're getting it? So, this is one thing. His expression is just opposite. He's expressing gentleness, while it's not gentleness. Physical expression gentleness, inside is anger. There's another category, bottling up, as you said. Anger is there, so much burning anger is there, and it may explode at one time, but you try to contain it. So bottling that up within you, and what will be done? Some people say express it. Some people say express anger. If you bottle it up, then one day it'll explode and it can become very uncontrollable. So what should we do? These are the very serious questions. If you would like to bring this up, please bring this up. This is so important. And then not only each one of us, there are many things that I can learn from you, your own experience, and for all these brilliant thoughts. These are the human wisdoms. You have your own wisdoms. We can share amongst each other. And then once we learn from each other, just see how much we can share this with other people. Because there are no doubt many people who are either expressing too freely for little things, say the water glass, put there, why there, right? Why there, it should be near me, and then fight. So one so freely expresses your anger, number one. Number two, really suppressing everything inside. And then it can really destroy your immunity. These things can happen. So what is a proper way of doing it? What is the proper way of doing it? What's the proper meaning? What's the best way to do? What's the most healing? What's the best way to do? This is a very serious question. And if possible, all sorts of these things while we try to learn. Okay, so by the way, okay, Parish, he forgot to give one book to me. He's here. Thank you. Okay, so basically this book, which we are studying together, this book here, okay, it is on page 73. Page 73. This book is more like a practical usage for practical purpose, and many things will come along as we read this book. This is a brilliant composition, but meanwhile, if there are some points which you personally have experienced, have seen, and then you want to discuss here, that would be very, very helpful for all of us. Okay, so let's first quickly talk about the mind and the brain relationship. Mind and brain relationship. So one thing that we need to keep in mind is that all our mental issues, one thing is that mental issues, we know that. For example, if you have an anger issue, you know that. But how to deal with this, you may not know. But you know that I have an anger issue. So, and I have, let's say, issue of impatience, and so forth. And these issues are there. So these are all mental phenomena. And while you have the anger issue, the anger within us, impatience, so forth, something is happening on your brain level, 100%. You agree? Something is happening on the brain level. And if it's a very frequent anger issue, then the synaptic connections responsible for anger, these are so well established. Synaptic connections for the anger, they're so well established. So those people who can deal with things so easily without giving into anger, so synaptic connections related to anger, they are gone. This is for sure what's happening in your brain level. But we are unaware of that. What we are aware of is the mental phenomena. Oh, I'm angry, look, I'm mentally disturbed. And sometimes what happens on the mental is manifested in the physiological level. And the physiological, what is happening on the physiology is reflected in the biological, the expressions, like the heart palpitation, the sweating, and so forth, with the excessive anger. These things happen. With fear, these things happen. So we see that what I'm saying is that there's a brain and a mind. These are the two things. And then these two manifest in different forms, on the physiological level, on the biological level. But say the brain and mind, we have no clue what's going on in our own brain. We have no clue. But we do know what's happening on the mental level. And of course, even the mental, there are so many levels, gross and subtle. We can identify the gross levels, but not the subtle levels. For the subtle levels, we need training. Only when we are trained so well to identify the mind, mental on the subtle level, then you can perform magic, what we call as the miracle. All this can be performed on that level by training ourselves to identify the subtle workings of the mind. And for this, it's not like training meaning that I have to study. No, brains can be studied so well without actually practicing. Without actually mentally practicing. You can be a brilliant neuroscientist, although mentally you may not be so the practicing into what you're doing. But for the subtle workings of the mind, you have to practice it. It's not just like, okay, well, how the mind works, what's the gross, subtle, that will not help. But if you really want to gain expertise in the workings of the mind to the level of, say, controlling your dreams. Dream is also a mental state. You agree? Dream is also a mental state, while the dreaming, again, the part of the brain is being activated in different forms. We have no clue what kind of activation on the brain, which wave is being released, but we are aware of the dream. We are aware of the dream. So some people can manipulate one's own dream because of the training on the subtle levels of the mind. Okay, this is one part. So, but in a way, what I'm saying here is that what is the mind, what is the brain? That we know so well that I have an anger issue, I'm stressed, I'm mentally exhausted, drained. So this is all mental. And what the neuroscientists could see when you are put in the brain scan, what they can see, that is your brain. They cannot see your mind, but they can see your brain. You cannot see your brain, you can see your mind. This is the best thing that we can distinguish the two at this level. So with this in mind, and some people may say that even the neuroscientists, they know what's going in your mind. This is pure naivety. pure naivety. Why I'm saying this is that a book by Professor Michio Kaku. How many of you are aware of Professor Michio Kaku? Yes? Okay, he's not a neuroscientist. He is a brilliant physicist. He is on the level of the Nobel laureate in physics, on that level. He's brilliant. But he wrote a book on neuroscience. Amazing. And the good thing about his book on neuroscience is the title is The Future of the Mind. His book, Future of the Mind. You read it, the good thing about his book is that all the data that you find there, they are, because he's a very prominent physicist himself, very prominent person, he could get all this data from the very standard neuroscientists. So the data are so richly given there. And there, what is said is that the neuroscientists, they don't see your mind, they only see your brain. And why do we say that they don't see your mind? It's because that they are deliberately creating dictionary of your thinking, of your thought processes. Mental functions, they create dictionaries. For example, say what is the word for water in Goan? Udak. Okay, if you tell me udak, I have no clue what is udak. Then I go right in the dictionary. Udak. Oh, it's water. You're getting it? So I have no clue what udak means. To understand the meaning of that, what should I do? I should seek the help of the dictionary. Likewise, neuroscientists, they have no clue what this part of the brain activation, this part of the brain, this kind of neurotransmitter being transmitted from this part of the brain to the other. So what's happening on the mental level? They have no clue. So they create a dictionary. When this part of the brain is activated, which means that this part of the emotion is activated. When this part of when this transmitter is transmitted from this to that part, and then this part of the mind is activated. So how do they do that? Is that you are put into they say big machines, scan machines, to scan your brain. And then within the machine you are shown very horror movies, very scary movies within that. And then because that you are watching it, you are in fear, and then the neuroscientists check what's going on the brain level, which part of the brain is activated. Okay, this part of the brain is for the horror, feeling of the horror. Then you say again different movies are shown, very pleasant movies are shown, pleasant music are being played, then they say which part of the brain is activated. Okay, so this is how they create the dictionary. So with this, what is helpful for us here in this, for this group, is that we need to at least know some basic difference between the workings of neurons, the brain, and the mind, to simply put. Mind is something that which we have experienced. Anger, don't say that mind, consciousness is something different. Not different, this is not my job. My job is to talk on something empirical. You're getting it? Something empirical, and not something on abstract phenomena. So the issue that we have is about say, stress, anxiety, depression. These all fall under the category of the mind, which we all experience, something which we can experience. And then on the other hand, we have the brain. The brain, that is something very tangible, two things. So are these two one or different? This is a big discussion. And I don't know how many of you are interested in this. If you're interested, it requires a very separate the class. So for the time being, let's say that what we experience is the mind, what neuroscientists can see is your brain. So this is the difference. Now with this in mind, okay, say the things that we experience in the universe, things they experience, we see that can be classified into three categories. One which is evident which we can evidently know. And number two is slightly hidden phenomena, obscure phenomena, which means that, for example, like atoms, electrons, protons, weak force, nuclear force, and so forth. These are something which we cannot see. But we have to use some other means to understand these. That is the slightly hidden phenomena. There's a third category, which is known as the very hidden phenomena, which we can understand only through some, let's say, the testimony of somebody else's, the authority. So there are three kinds of phenomena. And modern science, what it touches is, it touches the evident phenomena and the part of the slightly hidden phenomena. It's not that they touch everything. I personally, yes, of course, my liking, my affinity to modern science is really there. So from my assessment, I always tell people that modern science is amazing discipline, which is incredibly great, the legacy of the human beings. It's amazing, the piece of information that human beings developed. That's amazing, modern science. And we really need to, the world, we really need to feel proud of this. At the same time, it doesn't mean that modern science explains everything, right? And so many of us may not have you may not resonate with what I'm saying at the moment. These are the expressions used by the communist parties in the past. Communist parties in order to eradicate the religions. But they say with the advent of modern science, all religions will die, because modern science will explain everything, and they will prove that what religion said is wrong. So our business is not to talk about religion, but our business is to talk what are the strengths of modern science and what are I would say demerits, I would say the shortcomings of the modern science. So modern science is a very rigorous system. Let's not forget it. It's a very rigorous system. Physics is amazing, really rigorous system. And then the neuroscience, amazing. And chemistry is amazing. So with this, and the biology, amazing system. It's an extremely rigorous system. At the same time, being rigorous doesn't mean that it explains everything, because there are things which we can understand very rigorously, and there are things which are obscure in nature. So what I share with people is that if you try to expand the scope of science, modern science, too much, then they have to compromise the rigor of modern science. So best is not to expand the scope of modern science too much, to the extent that it touches all elements of the slightly obscure phenomena and the very hidden phenomena. Then they have to compromise the rigor. But they can be organic transformation happening. For example, like there's a paradigm shift which happened from the Newtonian physics to quantum theory and relativity theory. There's an organic transformation that happened, paradigm shift that happened. If that happens, that's a different story. Otherwise, till that point, the neuroscience, if they touch the mind too much, then you are compromising the rigor of neuroscience. Okay, so with this in mind, I'm just going to quickly show you some pictures of, say, what is a mental problem? Say, look, the soldiers there, and then the soldiers dying there, and the hospitals there. Why? There's a problem there. So what are these problems? And the farmers there suffering, and all these pandemic, there's there so much mental pain associated, and then the wars there. These are all the realities. Look, all these buildings once constructed are being demolished within the split of seconds. These are all the pains, and then the mental problems. So with this in mind, finally, how many of you would agree with me that finally you are happy, not happy, or sad, or visionary, or very narrow-minded? It's all about your mind. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Good. So with this in mind, say I say, what is really happening when you are very broad-minded or visionary? Vision, for example, like the political leader who I really appreciate is Lee Kuan Yew. How many of you know him? Lee Kuan Yew, raise hands. Lee Kuan Yew. Whether you agree, not agree, that's a different story. A personal, say, the take. But I personally would say that amazing. Why I was so impressed by him was that the moment he became the Prime Minister of Singapore, he said that my job is only twofold. One, to make sure that every citizen has a shelter, house to live in. Number two, every citizen has a job for them to survive. Wow, that's amazing. First, you have to take care of the citizens. Make sure that every citizen has a shelter under which to sleep, and then something to eat. These two are the two basic things. And then we can expand on other things. So that I'm really impressed. So with this in mind, how come that their mind is very different from our mind? For example, for many of us, even in a family of 4, 5, or 3, 2, even in a family, there's a conflict happening. There's conflict. Me, this mind, this is very confusing. Even in a small family, nuclear family, such problems happen. But he's talking about the whole nation. So with this, what I'm saying is that, and then like Mahatma Gandhi, it's amazing, amazing. In fact, when I was in my early 20s, 20, 21, I was so keen to read the writings of Mahatma Gandhi, to see what's going on in his mind. What was his thinking? Why? His thinking is extremely broad for the nation. So it's all about your mind and mental thinking. So what constitutes mental thinking? So quickly, these are very interesting, the taxonomy of the mental functions. Mental functions. In fact, the last year I just quickly touched on this, and of course I'm not going to go into too detail, but these are very interesting. Of course there are millions and millions of mental functions, and say why some like Mahatma Gandhi or Charles Darwin and these great beings, these great people, what's going in their mind to make them very different? What's going in our mind which makes us very different from them? So it's all about your mental functions. And the mental functions, there are millions and millions. So from this, we see that in the Buddhist psychology, there is a classification of these 51 mental factors. Of course, there are millions, not only 51 which are more directly relevant to our, the mental well-being. 51 which are relevant to our mental well-being. Okay, so first let me just see the 6 sets. The first set is known as the 5 ever-present mental factors. 5 ever-present mental factors. And this is a very important point which we need to study in more detail in a while. Meaning that where you have a mind, these 5 functions are always there. For example, you're sleeping, these 5 functions are operating. For example, say, when you're appreciating the paintings, you're not calculating. You're getting it? So calculating mind is not there when you appreciate painting. Do you agree with me? Say, okay, whose money is this? Whose money is this? Right? Whose money is this? We'll have no room when there is a genuine compassion flowing between the mother and the child. So, when your mind operates in one way, many of the functions of the mind stop. When you're angry, right, there's no room for sympathy. When you're angry, there's no room for sympathy. When there's a sympathy there, compassion there, the room for why this happened to you and why this did not happen to me, why it happened to me and not to you, all these will become redundant. You're getting it? So our mind function. But there are 5 of these activities, mental functions, which accompany any mind. Whatever mind you're sleeping, or when you're sad, when you're happy, when you are when you're in the artist circle, so excited. Where there's a mind, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're happy, these 5 mental functions are operating. And these 5 are extremely, extremely important. And if you go to the monastic universities, this is all studied by the first year, second year students. Meaning the first year, second year students, meaning anybody who can guess what's the age? What do you think? Just tell me. Studying this psychology, say the first year, second year, they study it at such an early age. What age do we expect? 19, 20. Generally, yes. But even 14, 15, they all start it. But if you ask them, why 5? Right? They will have no answer. They will memorize it. You're getting it? Why 5? Why 5? And why 5 object determinant factors? What do you mean by every present mental factors? They explain. But if you ask, are you sure? They said, no, I just learned it. You're getting it? So then these people, when they study more and more deeper, they study the more complicated texts, and as you grow older with the age, then they see the wonder. In fact, I personally would say that I belong to this category. I learned all this by heart. Only after completing my Geshe degree, which is even way after that, in my 40s, when I talk to people, when I study, when I touch these areas, wow, these are so profound. How come there's somebody is just 14 years old, study this? It's amazing. These are the gems. Okay, we will explore more. Then the 5 object determining factors, meaning that, say, when you're able to see things, for example, like, okay, now I understand what is quantum mechanics. Now I understand for example, say, okay, when I was till 30s, in my mind, today today my take of the world, and those days when I was in my 20s, 30s, and then my take of the world is very different now. It's very different. In those years, when I was in my 20s, 30s, I had the feeling that if you have the truth, then that you can prove it and you will win. And now I see the world very differently. Because, for example, say, even if you have the truth, still the world is not a matured world. This is the world of might is right, not mind is right. Today. So, say, talking about the borders, which is the correct border? No, this is our border is like this. Why? Because it was since like this here. And somebody comes who's more powerful, then expand your border, right? And everybody remains quiet, cannot say anything. And then time lapses. Then in future, people say that this is our border because once upon a time, 2024, right? 200 years ago, this was the established. And who gave the authority to that was Megmon, right? Who gave the authority? No one, right? So it's very complicated. So okay, so it's about, so finally the point is that when you have a sense of discernment, when you make correct information, what is happening in your mind? What makes you to make the correct decisions? 5 object determining factors. Then 11 virtues mental factors. These are extremely important points. Say, if you and I, if we really want to grow, and say, in your mind, you become more and more calm, confident, and then with your family, when you become confident, calm, peaceful, happy, you can influence your family members. They can see that you are very different. And then this I say that this is the best of the the legacies the parents can pass down to your children. This is the best way. This is best for the presence. So, 11 virtual mental states. When your mind becomes virtual, for example, when you become compassionate, for example, say you go out and somebody who is, say, the injured by accident, and then you go to help the person out of compassion, out of concern. So 11 such mental activities are activated simultaneously. What are these 11? Again, we have to study this. We study this, then we see that some of these, the mental functions are something so nuanced that we never think about these things. You're getting it? And then we say, wow, these are really gems. If I just, say something high out of compassion, that. So all these 11 virtuous, 11 good thoughts, they're being activated simultaneously. And then first we learn it. First we just learn it, and later on try to evaluate them. Don't just follow blindly. Think that, oh, this is what is said there, it must be true. First learn these, and later on evaluate through your own experience whether they are true, whether or not they are true. Then number 6, root afflictions. So when the anger arises, how destructive it is. When attachment arises, how destructive it is. So likewise, when the pride, arrogance, when they rise, how destructive how many such, let's say, the destructive mental emotions are there? Primary, the primes, the destructive, 6 of them. And then this 20 secondary afflictive mental factors, meaning that when a mind, not the 6 root, but they are 20 secondary. Similar to these 6 root, they are 20 secondary. And then 4 variable mental factors. What mental factors? They can either become positive, negative. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative. For example, like you say, compassion is always virtuous. Anger is always non-virtuous. Whereas there are some mental factors, sometimes virtuous, sometimes non-virtuous, variables. So what are these? And then how to make sure that these mental functions, the 4 variable mental functions, how to make sure that these are to the best of your capacity to make them virtuous. Okay. So I will touch the first, they said the 5 omnipresent mental factors, and the remaining I will touch from tomorrow. And I'll touch 5, and then we'll go to how to manage the emotions. And then meanwhile we also have this, the text. This text is, is very rich. The information is so rich, and very helpful. Okay, the first is that we talk about the contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, intention. If possible, try to make these make sure that we have these 5 on our fingertips. Contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, and intention. Okay, now without looking at it, can you say this by heart? Without looking at it? Without looking at it, contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, and intention. Okay, so perhaps it is easier for us to remember if you know the links. Why these 5? Then it will be easier for us to remember. Okay, I'll try to explain this, and then I'll remove this. I'll remove this from the screen here, and then let's see if we can have this on the fingertips. If you have these on the fingertips, then later on, as we explain, instantly you can connect with these 5. And you will see that, this is how I manage my emotions. And then you succeed in doing this when somebody is becoming angry, or when somebody is becoming a little selfish, jealous, and so forth. You can see what's going in the person's mind. You can see so clearly. You're getting it? Okay. So just a little bit digression. Professor Paul Ekman, what is his expertise? Microfacial expression reading. He was the pioneer of the micro-expressional facial reading. And then when I was with him for 5 days, I asked him that don't people feel afraid to be sitting next to you? He said that yes, people are afraid of when they discovered that, his specialization or his expertise. Then people will block their face by saying that no, don't look at me, right? I'm scared that you just see what's in my mind. Okay, so that's very interesting. So in fact, if you learn these, you can really see what's going in the person's mind. You're getting it? What's going in the person's mind? And on that basis, it's very funny. On this basis, if you practice compassion, practice compassion is not just be kind. This is not the practice of compassion. There are techniques to increase your intensive compassion. When it increases, then we see that when you meet somebody else, and from the behavior you can see what's going in the person's mind. These 11 virtues, 6 root infractions, then the 5 discerning mental factors, the 4 variables. When you see what's going in the person's mind, you can really empathize with the person. I too am like you when I was before 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I was like you. You can see what's going in the person's mind. You can see what the person is going to do next. You can predict the person's actions, next actions. You can see what the person did in the past. Just by knowing how the mind works. It's amazing. So meanwhile, the point is not to judge on others. It is to judge on yourself and bring about, remove your mental stress, anxiety and sadness and make yourself a happier person. And on that basis, becoming a more meaningful person, purposeful person. And as we grow older, that we become wiser, we become happier. This is the whole point. Okay, with this in mind, let me first explain these 5 on the basis of how they're connected, and even the order should not be misplaced. It should be in this particular sequence. Sequence should not be on the. Okay. So what happens is that, okay, is there anybody who will actually share with us, say, any kind of emotion of anger, or say the sadness, or happiness, or joy that once you felt? Anyone who will actually share a moment with us? Anyone resents? Any moment of sadness, happiness, yes.
When my son was born, it's a moment of joy.
Okay, when the son was born, it was a moment of joy. Okay, how old is he now? 12. Okay, so do you agree with me that that moment of joy is a mental state? All of you, you have your own experience. Say there's the joy coming in you. So that joy came in you with your awareness that the child is born, son is born. You agree? So son becomes your object, and your mind which knows that a son is born. That mind is your subject, and the son born, that is your object, subject-object interaction. So subject-object contact, right? Your son is the object, and your mind, oh, a son is born. So son is the object, and your mind is the subject. These two come in contact. Contact, but doesn't mean they physically touch, not necessary. With eye consciousness, it's from distance, you can have eye contact with the other person. With the ear, the sound. And I can hear the sound of the fan. So, with a smell, the smell should actually touch my nose, right? With the distant tree, I can see the tree may not touch my eyes, but I can have the contact with my eyes can come in contact with the tree through distance, with distance. But with the smell, you should touch. With the body with the tactility, again you should touch. For example, like, okay, it's a cool sensation. I have to touch. So, we see that first the contact, subject or object should come in contact. You agree? Then, say me without noticing anything, just talking to you, and somebody touched this glass, right? Something's happening. What is this? I pay attention, right? What is this? I pay attention. And then I see it's a cool object. Number 3, discrimination. Number 1 is contact. Number 2 is you pay attention. Then number 3, with the attention that you paid, what happens? Discrimination happens, meaning that it is a cool object. Discrimination. With this, if it is too hot, a cool object touches you, you feel pleasant feeling. You like the pleasant feeling? Huh? Gentleman over there, what's your name? Okay, Siddharth. You like the pleasant feeling? So when you like the pleasant feeling, you like to sustain it or you like to get rid of it? You like to sustain it. So next, intention. Intention to embrace this object which triggered this pleasant feeling. You getting it? Okay, what is the first? Contact. Now it becomes easier for us to remember. So after this, I'll remove this from the screen and you have to say this by heart. First, you come in contact with your son. Oh, a son is born. A son, come in contact. Is it true? Right? You paid attention. Yes, it's very true. A son is born. Then feeling? Very joyous feeling, pleasant feeling comes. You like it? So you push the child, you embrace it. Embrace. So the intention to embrace the child, because that gives me joy, and joy is what I like. You're getting it? This is how the mind works under all situations. When you're sleeping, these 5 things are happening. Contact, attention, discrimination, feeling, intention happen. When you're angry, fighting with your neighbor, how many fought with the neighbor? At least once? Resents? How many fought with the neighbor? At least once. Resents? No? Or with the... Okay, mentally thinking badly about neighbor, mentally thinking, what a nuisance. What a nuisance, right? Okay, no point fighting, but what a nuisance, right? Okay, so there, thinking bad, thinking good, happy, sad, admiration, no, what is this? Right? In all cases, these 5 things are operating. When you're angry, 5 things are operating. When you say, oh, I'm sorry, 5 things are happening. If you know how to manage these 5, you become expert in managing emotions. It's amazing. You getting it? So from this, you tell me. From this, finally, when you say manage the emotion, what is to be managed of these 5? First one, and what else? The last one. The first one, then the feeling, and what else? Discrimination, very good. Feeling, very good. Okay, which means you are all thinking. This is extremely important. You're getting it? Extreme. So, finally the point is that managing the emotion is, for example, say, so let's say that, okay, let's see. I don't mean it. Say, this morning I got up at 4:30 or 4:15 to come here. 4:15 I got up, and then a quick breakfast, and then the airport. I have to text the office driver. He was out of station, so our secretary from distance. Yesterday he told me that our driver's not there, and then I'll do the booking. I said, don't worry, I'll do the booking myself, but I'm from the older generation, I don't know how to do the booking, right? So he understands it. He said, don't worry, I'll do it. Oh no, it'll disturb your sleep. He said that, don't worry, I'll do it. Then I said, thank you. So we're doing. And then let's say that so since 4:15, the essay, I did have something to eat. I ate something. Then on the aeroplane, nothing. Coming here, then preparing for this, the class, and then bring how to carry the book, so forth. And coming here, I got the water, right? All from, no, I got everything. I already ate. I'm just creating a scenario. Say that from 4 a.m. till today, till now, if I had nothing to eat, and why not a juice at least, right? Why not a juice at least, or something to eat, right? So what happens is the mental agitation comes. Mental agitation. This agitation, we don't like it. So what is this agitation? This agitation is because of unpleasant feeling. What is this unpleasant feeling? Because of seeing just water there, not a juice. You getting it? But I don't like juice. At the airport, no. On the aeroplane, you have booked a meal for me, and then with the sandwich, then the lady asked, what beverage you like to have? I said, hot tea. I said, I'm very sorry, the boiler is not working, right? And then I asked, what do you have? She said, I have a Coca-Cola and mixed fruit juice. So I have no choice, right? So I don't like juice generally. Fresh juice is different. Otherwise, all these, canned juice is full of sugar. I don't like it. Okay, so to cut it short, if I say, this is a problem, so I'm mentally agitated. So this agitation where lies the problem? So on the one hand, agitation itself is a problem. I don't want the agitation. What is agitation? Mental disturbance. What is a mental disturbance? The mind trying to push something, right? Mind trying to push something. Okay, this is a problem. Then why? Why you are pushing? Because I don't feel pleasant. I feel unpleasant feeling. Again, feeling is also a problem. Unpleasant is a problem. Why should it be so unpleasant? Why am I unpleasant here? Because I just took water, no juice, right? No juice. What's the big deal? No juice. Okay. So no juice means it's a discrimination. Discrimination is just plain water, no juice. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, no juice. So why you get this information? Because I'm seeing this is juice. It's not a juice, it's water. So contact with them, say the object, which is the plain water, and the attention. I paid attention. It is really water. And then discriminate. Say with the contact with the object, then the paying attention. Then I discriminate that this is a water. Then unpleasant feeling came. So we see that in fact it's all related to this five. All five. You're getting it? All five. Now let's go a little deeper. Finally, what we don't, do you agree with me that even if I see this water, but if my mind is not agitated, it's fine. Yes, you agree with me? Even if I feel unpleasant, but my mind, if it's not pushing, it's okay. You agree? So the mind is not resting. No, mind is not in a calm state. The mind is in a form of resistance. That is what is known as the agitation. You agree? Okay. So if you don't want this agitation, what should you do? Why this agitation? Because it is pushing away something. What is it? What is your mind trying to push? Unpleasant feeling. You're getting it? So therefore, if you don't want this resistance of the mind, this resistance is in the form of the agitation. If you don't want this, then what the immediate factor is the unpleasant feeling. Change the unpleasant feeling to pleasant feeling. You're getting it? Okay, it's nice. But then, no, it doesn't happen, right? When with my husband, with my wife, with children, with parents, it's very complicated. Pleasant feeling doesn't come, right? Pleasant feeling doesn't come. What should I do? So, even the pleasant feeling is not just, now I should think differently, I should be pleasant, I should have pleasant feeling. No, it will not happen like this. Pleasant feeling is also because of a factor. What is the factor? Discrimination. Discrimination. For example, like seeing a glass of water, and I heard, let's say that I heard I heard, Parish, I was about to say Parish and he came. Right? Okay. They say, I heard the Parish talking to Dr. Savitaji about the, say, mixed fruit juice, right? And then I was a little unhappy. Oh no, again mixed fruit juice. I had on the aeroplane mixed fruit juice. Again juice. I would rather have a plain water because it is very healthy, right? And suddenly plain water comes. What's the feeling? Pleasant feeling. You're getting it? Pleasant feeling because of the discrimination that what I'm getting is the plain water which I am looking for. So this is water. This is not a juice. Juice which is very bad for your diabetic issues, problems. So this water is very healthy. So that is because of discrimination, that this water. And this discrimination because of the contact and the attention with the object, with the information. You're getting it? So therefore the point is that if you really want to go for mental, say, emotional management, we have to manage, number one, we have to manage the intention. You agree? Intention. Don't let the mind to push. Don't let the mind to resist. Let the mind to embrace. Okay, you agree with me that embrace is a very pleasant to hear. Embrace. Resist. You see, that's something which I don't like. Yes, you agree? Okay. So if the mind embraces object, that is when your mind feels calm. Right? Okay, not resisting. Better than not resisting is embracing. You're getting it? Sometimes we can be neutral. You don't resist, you don't embrace, just neutral. Like, okay, let's say that. Okay, what do you think about this fan? Okay, it's fine. I don't embrace, I don't reject, I don't resist. So that is neutral. But first is non-resistance. If the mind resists, you don't like this. Your mind, you want the mind to remain peaceful and calm. But it's resisting. It's against your nature. You don't like this. And if the resistance is quite intense, this anxiety attack. If the resistance is prolonged and chronic, it is depression. So, so this is which we have to modify. We have to manage the emotion. So how to manage this? How to change this? By changing the resistance is because of the unpleasant feeling. You have to change the unpleasant feeling to pleasant feeling. How to change the unpleasant feeling to pleasant feeling? Feeling is determined by your cognitive thought process. Cognitive thought process. For example, let's say this is water. For some people, it may trigger unpleasant feeling. For some people, it may trigger pleasant feeling. For me, it triggers pleasant feeling, because that I know from many years of experience that the plain water is very good for washing your cells, body cells, detoxifying. It's very good. So it gives them pleasant feeling. For some people, young people who like juice, who like mixed fruit juice particularly, right? What is this water? Always water, right? So unpleasant feeling comes. So the feeling is determined by the discrimination. And the discrimination determined by the attention and the contact, these two things. So therefore, if you really want to change the mental state from disturbance, resistance to the calmness and embracing, change the feeling from unpleasant to the pleasant. How to change it? By changing the discrimination. To give you a very simple example. Simple example. It was, I'm sure that you have your own personal experience. I was maybe 22 years old, 21 or 22 years old. I was in Institute of Buddhist Dialectics. And there was one boy in my class, one like same age, and who has the attitude problem with some of the boys, some of the monks. He thinks that he is a little superior, and this attitude I didn't like. So two of us two of us, we were not really in talking terms, because that he has a sense of air that I'm somebody in comparison with others, and I don't like this attitude. From my side, I want to see everybody as equal. I don't want to see anybody as I'm superior. That I don't like. So because there's what is that unspoken say what the silent war, unspoken silent war is happening there. Then what happened was that, which means, well, okay, now tell me, am I pleasant to see him? Do I feel happy to see him, or I feel unhappy? Unhappy. What was happening? On the intention level, I was rejecting. You agree? On the intention levels, I was rejecting him. Why I was rejecting him on the intention level? Because he was the trigger to the unpleasant feeling. Because of his presence there, unpleasant feelings triggered within me. And why this unpleasant trigger is triggered by him is because I have the discrimination. Discrimination doesn't mean gender discrimination or racial discrimination. It's not about that. This is very neutral in its meaning. Just a sense of what is right, what is wrong, what is it, what is not it. So that's a discrimination. So I had the discrimination that he has this air of arrogance with respect to other people. So seeing others as inferior, he himself as more superior. So that discrimination, with discrimination, I did not like it. And how come that I got this information? Because I paid attention to what he was doing all these many months. And because of the information that I get, I'm come in contact with the information that I was seeing in him. And then I double-checked it by paying attention. So with these, then the discrimination, a specific discrimination came in me that this person is not really a good, nice person. So unpleasant feeling came. With this, my mind rejects this unpleasant feeling. Why this? I don't want the unpleasant feeling. So I don't want to remove the unpleasant feeling. So how to remove the unpleasant feeling? What trigger? You have to remove the trigger of the unpleasant feeling. What's the trigger of the unpleasant feeling? That boy. So that boy I cannot remove. I cannot say get out. So therefore mentally I remove. Mentally I try to resist him. So it happens every day I see him, it resists. My mind resists. So that is mental stress, mental unhappiness. Okay. So what happened? So if I don't like it, what should I do? Now you advise me. If I don't like this unhappiness within me over seeing this boy, what should I be doing? Tell me. Okay, first, don't just jump to conclusion, ignore, right? Let's go from down up. Instead of resisting, try to embrace it, right? No, I can't embrace it, right? I can't embrace it. Then you have to tell me, change the feeling. You're getting it? Feeling from unpleasant to the pleasant. I try to do it, but it's not happening. Whenever same unpleasant feeling comes. So what should you tell me? Change the discrimination, right? Change the discrimination. Okay, what happened? So how the discrimination was changed within me was not because I learned the psychology, I applied it, was in those days. I already learned this, but it's purely parroting. And now, going back with my own experience and relating that experience to this amazing treasure, amazing information. What happened was that during the winter holiday, I went to monastery in South India. We were from North. South India, North, my monastery 2 months close for winter holiday. And South is a huge monastery. Dorji went there, met my teachers there. And yes, she's very meritorious, having met with both my teachers and having had the honor of serving them, giving them medical assistance. So there, I went to the monastery for holiday, and next to the monastery there was a small Tibetan settlement, like a village. and his maybe relatives were there. He went there for a holiday. I went there for a holiday to study, and he was there to meet the relatives. And it so happened that that time our main teacher in North, Venerable Geshe Losang Gyaltso Rinpoche, he happened to be also in the monastery, just for a short visit. And he came to know that I was in the monastery and my classmate, he was in the village. I'm a teacher, he can just do it, tell anybody, give any order to the students. So he called the other monk, said that, what are you doing? For 2 months, what are you doing? He did not tell the other boy that Dorji is studying here. No, nothing. What are you doing there? Don't waste your time. If you want to spend time for holiday, yes, you can have holiday. At the same time, don't waste your time fully like this. Come to the monastery and teach Tibetan language to some of the young monks. So he gave the responsibility to teach Tibetan language to some of the young monks in the monastery. So the poor guy from the village, every day, no holiday now, every day he had to cycle under scorching heat. Scorching heat. Perhaps like in the, say, month of January, February in South India, South India meaning Karnataka state, there was hottest, but in Mungur area, hottest around that year. That time, perhaps like what, 39, 40. And the poor guy from North India, temperature, very beautiful temperature, from the holiday under scorching sun, 39, almost hitting 40, and having to cycle every day. Like it was no holiday now, coming, and to the monastery where I was, same. And for him to teach the language maybe for 1 hour. And then the rest of the time, before the students come, he needed a place to stay. He does not have any of these facilities there. So he had no option other than to come to me, because I was the only person he knew. So he started to come to my place, and of course when somebody comes, that you have the facilities. So he came, my classmate, we became very close, extremely close friends. So what I'm saying is that now my discrimination changed. That when I've been with him, to know the person very closely, he's a very decent person. So the discrimination that he's the nice person came to me. And seeing him, pleasant feeling started to come. But the pleasant feeling I wanted, so I embrace him. Whenever he comes, come, stay, right? So he has the food, he has the juice, he has tea, whatever, right? So the point is that instead of resisting, embrace. Started, because the change in the feeling, which changed to discrimination. So the idea is that how to manage our emotions is, don't just say that, no, don't think negatively, right? You have to know these 5. Where things are going wrong. These 5, on these 5, where things are going wrong. So finally, it is about finally is the contact and the attention. Contact and the attention with either the wrong information, or incomplete information, or partial information. You getting it? So what we need to do is that finally is about, let's say that if there's a water, juice, poison, medicines, okay, so from there you have to pick. If there's only one choice, then there's no choice, you have to take it. But if there's many choices, then depending on your experience, you will choose what is suitable to you. So to have the vast knowledge, to have a deep knowledge, to come in contact with the vast knowledge, varieties of knowledge, to come in contact with the deep, profound knowledge is so important. So that the discrimination will be so rich. You can create a discrimination which will only trigger pleasant feeling instead of unpleasant feeling. With a pleasant feeling, you like it, so the mind will automatically embrace. And embracing, you do it voluntarily, not involuntarily. And the resistance is happening involuntarily. You don't want it, so they automatically resist. So involuntary movement of mind that creates say, the stress in your mind, and eventually it destroys your immunity. So therefore, this is something so precious. Now, so with this, the remaining part I will discuss from tomorrow. And okay, now the next is that how to really manage it. Manage it meaning from this, what have you learned? How to manage it thus far? Okay, by the way, what are the 5 ever-present mental factors? Anyone? Contact, attention, discrimination, feeling. Wow, that's amazing. In a few seconds, you have made it on your fingertips. That's amazing. Wonderful. Okay. So, now from this, what we have learned is that if you really want to manage your emotions, mental healing, or the mental health, how to create a good mental health. From this, from what we learned earlier, so tell me what to do to change the discrimination. How to change the discrimination? To get the vast information, deep information, complete information, very systematic information, unbiased information, the correct information. You're getting it? This is so important. One time, it's amazing. So therefore, I would say in modern science, there's a tremendous the emphasis on the need for objectivity, to be objective in your research, right? This is amazing. This is exactly what is being said here. So one time, there's one girl, and whose mother had to leave the job suddenly without getting proper permission from the higher authority, and leave because of the health issues. Because she had a severe ulcer problem and had to move to a bigger city without no time to inform the higher authority. And the higher authority coming to know about this was extremely upset, and sent a letter to the lady saying that this is a breach of the rule. So you will be under penalty. And then the daughter of this lady came to me. She came to me and said that this is the issue now, what you do. Then I said that, don't worry, I'll help you, don't worry. Because your situation is not that your mother was, really unkind or really ruthless. No. Your mother is all because of the health issues that this happened. These things can happen. And the girl was really being, saying all nasty things against the authority. And I said that what you say will not help. Finally, your mother should get a proper permission from the higher authority. And you may blame the higher authority, but this will not help. It can invigorate the situation. Instead, I'll help you. Do one thing. Give me all the information. So I'm trying to get the contact and attention, right? Contact attention to get the proper discrimination, right? So I was asking questions to the girl about the mother. What about this situation? What about that situation? Did she apply before for the application, for the leave and so forth? And then one point, she gave me one information that the real problem was that there were 2 staff in one office, and her mother had to leave, and the other lady, other staff also left, and the staff also left. Now the higher authority was left with nobody there. So of course the higher authority became so angry and sent a letter to the mother. Then I said that which of the 2 staff, your mother and the other lady, which of the 2 staff applied for the leave, somewhere about the illness and so forth, before. And the mother leaving was very abrupt without informing the higher authority, but applied for leave in general earlier. And the girl said that the mother applied first. And I asked her, okay, I can sense that you are not being objective. So what we do is that you double check with your mom. If your mom is in ICU, call your dad and ask the dad, I don't want your information, I want information from your dad. Which means that I'm trying to get the correct information, contact and the attention. So that the discrimination that you make is going to be correct discrimination. And then to my surprise, the father gave the information that the other lady applied for the information first. Then I told the girl that, look, this is where you're going wrong. You're being moved by your emotion. And you see everything mistake on the part of the higher authority. So, after getting all this information, then what I wrote, I drafted a letter on behalf of the mother. And there are some false accusations there. All the false accusations, don't say that this is, you have the blame me baselessly, don't use any harsh words. It's a higher authority. Finally, they have the authority. So, you have to just prove that you are on the right side, that you are not wrong. You have to prove it. So this is what happened, what you said, the accusation that you made against me, that's not true because of this. As a support of this, I'm attaching this, the document. This document. And again, this is not true. Because of this, I have to support this to prove this, I have this document. So attach all the documents. And then there's one mistake that your mother made. This you have to acknowledge. This you have pointed out, and I agree, it is my mistake. I'm very sorry. Whatever penalty, I'm very happy to take it. Believe it or not, sending this in 1 hour, you get a reply saying that your leave is granted. So the point is not about, who wins or who lost. It's about that your mother wins with the ease of mind, not with the agitation. And then again you have to go back, again face the authority, and authority is not happy, your mother is not happy. Instead you made the authority is so happy to see your mom is also very happy. This was required, win-win. Not like win and then finally you destroy yourself. So for that, this works, these 5 points. Okay. 4:50. We stop here? Okay, we stop here, and then from tomorrow, I will flip into 2 things. One, this text is, in a way, it's easy to understand. At the same time, the meanings, if you want to go deeper, they're quite complex. So best would be if you can read it in advance. Which page number I said? 73. And the title, you see the title on page, the page before that. You got a copy? It's there. Okay, anybody who didn't get a copy? Okay, so just one page before that, one sheet before that, that's the title. Geshe Lama Tsongkhapa, in English, 37 Practices of Bodhisattvas. The author is Geshe Thongmen Sambo. The author is Geshe Thongmen Sambo. And I'll also share his life story, a brief life story of this author is amazing. You'll be so impressed. So we'll start with the autobiography of this author tomorrow, and then we'll read from this and then go to the psychology back and forth. This is more the application side, but I would suggest you to read it first yourself, this section, and if you want to read the previous ones, of course, most welcome. But this section with the 37 verses, this is must. You read it, and if there is anything you like further clarification, we will do as we read along. Okay, we'll stop here. If you have question before we retire for tea. Questions? Maybe tomorrow. Okay, so I told you This book, tomorrow I'm expecting you to bring this book so that the next copy will be reserved for another person. Yes. Okay. See you tomorrow.